If you want to be wealthy and still feel peace in your chest when you lay down at night, listen carefully. I'm 80 years old. I don't sell dreams anymore. I don't have the energy for them. I'm here to tell you what actually lasts and what disappears the moment you turn your back. Most people work like their job is their identity. They grind, they rush, they chase titles, they chase approval. But they barely touch the one project that decides everything: the person they are becoming. Here's what I've learned watching people for 8 decades. Your life rarely rises far above your inner level for long. Money might jump. Opportunities might jump. You might meet the right person, land the right deal, get the inheritance, get the lucky break. But if you don't grow to match what you receive, life has a strange way of returning things to where you are. I've seen it happen. A man wins big, but he still thinks like a desperate man, so he spends like a desperate man. A woman gets status, but she still fears being abandoned, so she destroys every good thing trying to control it. A young person gets attention, but they don't have discipline, so attention becomes a drug and the work dies. That's why you can't just get wealth. You have to become someone who can hold it without it ruining you. If someone handed you $1 million tomorrow, what would happen? Some people would protect it and build with it. Others would use it to prove something, to show the world, to show their family, to show their old classmates, to show their old enemies. And money spent on proving a point disappears fast. There's an old idea I heard when I was young. If you took the world's money and split it evenly, it wouldn't stay evenly split for very long. Not because the world is fair, but because patterns return, habits return, character returns. And that's the heart of what I'm saying. Your results follow your inner development like a shadow. You can outrun that shadow for a season, but not for a lifetime. And happiness? Happiness is not something you purchase. It's not hidden in what you acquire. It's hidden in what you become. Because what you become goes with you everywhere. Into success, into loss, into old age, and into your last day. So if you're serious, if you're tired of repeating the same year over and over, I'll give you a framework. 3 steps. Simple enough to remember, hard enough to change you. Step 1. Learn how life actually works. Not how you wish it worked. Not how people online pretend it works. How it works. When I was 25, I complained to an older mentor. I told him, I don't have money. He didn't argue with me. He just said, that's not the main problem. I got angry. I felt insulted, because I was certain money was the problem. But he said, the main problem is you don't have the ideas and the skills that create money consistently. In other words, it wasn't a shortage of cash. It was a shortage of understanding. Ideas can change your income, your relationships, your confidence, your health, your future. A single good idea applied for 10 years can outwork 10 years of random effort. But ideas don't visit messy minds very often. Ideas like disciplined rooms. If you want success, you study success. If you want calm, you study calm. If you want wealth, you study value. how it's created, protected, multiplied, and destroyed. Most people don't study. They hope. And hope is not a plan. And here's something else my mentor forced me to do. Write things down. Not inspirational quotes, principles that work. Your brain is not a safe place to store truth. Your emotions rewrite the story. Your fatigue edits the facts. Put the lesson somewhere your mood can't corrupt it. Now, how do you learn how life works without wasting your life learning the hard way? I'll give you 3 methods. They look simple. That's why most people ignore them. But the simple things, repeated, are what separate grown men from boys. Method 1. Read. Yes, read. Not just headlines. Not just posts. Real reading, where your mind has to slow down and process. I've met many talented people. Talent is common. But I've noticed something. People who do well consistently are usually curious. They don't assume they already know. They study what they want. A good book is a shortcut through another person's mistakes. One book can save you 5 years of pain because someone already paid the price and wrote the receipt. And no, you don't need to read for 3 hours. Start with 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes of something solid. Something that strengthens judgment. Something that teaches you how people work, including you. Method 2. Listen. Get close enough to people who are ahead of you that you can hear how they think when nobody is clapping. Listen to the way they handle pressure. Listen to the way they talk about money, not with obsession, but with precision. Listen to how they speak about relationships, not with drama, but with responsibility. You'll notice something. They have standards, and they protect them. And listen to people who are failing too, not to mock them, to learn. Hear the excuses, hear the blame, hear the victim language. Because if you don't learn what it sounds like, you might accidentally start speaking it. I used to think I needed someone to hand me money. What I needed was someone to lend me their thinking for an hour. If you ever meet a person who is doing well, truly well, ask them better questions. Not, what do you do? Ask, what do you refuse to do? What did you stop tolerating? What mistake cost you the most? Method 3. Observe. This one is dangerous because it requires patience. And patience is rare now. Watch what disciplined people do when they're tired. Watch what honest people do when lying would be easier. Watch what stable people do when they're angry. Your life is built in those moments, the moments that don't look like a movie. Most people only see what is loud, but the truth is often quiet. There are 2 kinds of seeing, one with the eyes and one with the mind. Eyes notice events. The mind notices patterns. Patterns are where the answers hide. All right, that's step 1. Learn how things work. Now step 2 is where the dream dies for most people. Step 2. Go to work, especially on the small disciplines. Not the heroic, dramatic discipline, the tiny discipline, the kind nobody applauds. Because the big life you want is built out of small actions you keep postponing. If you can't keep a small promise to yourself, You won't survive a big responsibility when it arrives. Start with the small disciplines. Make your bed if you don't. Walk if you don't. Read if you don't. Save something, even if it's small. Make the call you've been avoiding. Tell the truth you've been delaying. Small disciplines train the muscle of self-respect. And don't wait for motivation like it's a visitor. Motivation is not a visitor. It's a result of movement. If you only move when you feel inspired, you will live a small life. Adults move because it's time, not because they feel like it. Your learning must lead to action. Otherwise, learning becomes entertainment, and entertainment becomes delay. And delay becomes a life you didn't choose. It just happened to you. Now, step 3. This is the caution. This is the part I wish I could tattoo on my younger self. Step 3. Don't try to cheat reality. Don't try to beat the system. Learn the rules. Work with them. But don't cut corners and call it clever. Don't compromise with what you know is right and call it strategy. Because a cheap method builds a cheap life. And a cheap life is expensive in the end. It costs you sleep. It costs you trust. It costs you relationships that could have been real. It costs you your own respect. I'm 80 now, and I'll tell you something that surprises young people. Money is useful, yes, but it's not the highest form of wealth. I've known people with full accounts and empty souls. And I've known people with modest lives who had something priceless, a calm conscience, and people who loved them for who they were, not what they had. So here's my final question to you. Simple enough to understand, hard enough to change your life. Starting tomorrow, what will you do that proves you're serious? Not what you'll think, not what you'll promise, not what you'll post. What will you do? Because if you do nothing tomorrow, the next 5 years will look like the last 5. And then one day, you'll wake up older than you expected, with less time than you assumed, and you'll realize you were given the power of a beginning, and you spent it like it would never end. It's choice time. Not someday. Not when you're ready. Tomorrow. Choose one small discipline, one page, one walk, one note, one honest action. Then repeat it until your life recognizes you.